Hello and welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Thanksgiving to anyone celebrating Thanksgiving. Let me shuffle a few more of these things around and then we'll get going. I think we are live correctly again. I still am somehow completely lost by what Restream is doing, but I think we are live in all the places. Just totally recognize it's doing it anymore, so you trying to figure that out next week, I think. Or actually maybe not next week. We'll talk about next week here in a little bit. Let's this one more out of the way here. All right, there we are. All right. So hello, welcome. This, let's see, one more. There we go. Okay. This is Deep Dive, which is a weekly live stream program. It was started by Scott Shawcroft, the lead developer of CircuitPython. He has been out for a bit. Folks in the CircuitPython community may know he's been out for a bit on parental leave. He is going to be back for a little bit, but he is not here today for the deep dive. So I tend to fill in whenever I can if he's not around for this stream, which occurs pretty much each week on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. No, excuse me, 2 p.m. Pacific, U.S. Pacific, 2 p.m., 5 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and then when I am here, I tend to think of it as 4 p.m. Central because that's the time zone I am in. So it's a weekly stream. He started it to go into whatever he's working on the cutting edge of CircuitPython. While he's out, I am here. I tend not to be working on stuff quite as deep, so to speak, as Scott. He's really working on whatever the upcoming stuff in CircuitPython is, which is a bit over my head still. Although we do definitely do a similar kind of thing where we are diving in and working on code and stuff like that. So if you are interested in a more technical stream, this is the right place. If you are new and you don't know really what I'm talking about, CircuitPython is kind of the overarching theme of this stream. CircuitPython is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers, such as the one we were looking at back here is a CircuitPython device. This is basically a way that you can program these microcontroller devices if you choose to use CircuitPython with them. The way it works typically is you plug it into your computer, it shows up like a thumb drive. You can edit some code, some Python code that's on that thumb drive, and when you save it, the microcontroller, the actual computer that's in the chip on these devices, will interpret and execute that Python code for you. So that's the quick look at what CircuitPython is and what it does. In particular today, I'm going to be diving into a bit of a peculiarity with Vectorio and display rotation. So we'll dive into that here in a little bit, but let's take another step back and say, as always, thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They're the ones who make CircuitPython possible by paying the team of folks who work on CircuitPython. If you would like to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, one of the easiest ways you can do that is purchase hardware from them using their website, adafruit.com. If you would like to do so this weekend, there is a 15% off code. If you use the code ACIDBURN, you'll get 15% off of your purchase. I think there are some items and things that it doesn't count for, so take a look through there depending on what you're looking to buy. But that is the code for the weekend, and that's good all the way through right here, the 2nd of December. So you got a couple of days, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. But get the orders in this weekend if you would like to use the code ACIDBURN to save 15% off. And thanks as always to them, and also thanks as always to everyone who purchases hardware from them. So yeah, Vectorio has this thing where depending on the rotation, it can be off by 1 pixel, essentially. Let me check on one more thing over here real quick, actually. Yeah, okay. And actually one more, for real, one more. Let's get this one. Okay, yes. I wanted to double check on the actual front ends that we were live on YouTube and Twitch, just because of the weirdness of Restream. All right, let me put this back on top, and there we go. So Vectorio, for anybody who doesn't know, Vectorio is a way to draw stuff in CircuitPython. It's kind of related to display.io, but it's not under the display.io module. But it is a different way to draw shapes on the screen in CircuitPython. Let's get desktop, or not desktop, but rather device workspace. Space is right there, open that. I have a PyPortal plugged in. After the IDE is done detecting the file changes, we can scroll down and see the code on it. File changes, I don't know. Processed, but okay. CircuitPy. So this script right now is basically a reproducer of this issue. It draws one rectangle, one Vectorio rectangle that is the full size of the display. And this one is going to be the 0 index color, which is green. So it's going to draw a green rectangle that's the entire size of the display. Then it's going to draw another rectangle, which has color index 1. So that's going to be black. It's going to end up putting it on top of the green one. And this one is the size of the display minus 2. And it starts at 1, 1. So this will basically leave a 1 pixel green border all the way around the outside of the screen because of this green rectangle. And then we have the black one on top, which is cutting it down to just the border. And when we look at it at rotation 0, everything looks normal. We get our green 1 pixel border all the way around. It's like we would expect. But if we go on different rotations, we get some other kinds of odd results. So 90, we cut off the right edge. Well, the right edge in the orientation I'm looking at it in, which I don't know, to be fair, what orientation that is, truthfully. I think it's actually upside down, because I think the plug is supposed to be over here for the 0 orientation, but that's fine. It's a little more convenient this way for me, and we're looking at something that doesn't have text or anything, so it doesn't matter which way it is. In 180, we're off by 1 pixel, I believe, in both X and Y. So in 90, we were off by 1 pixel on the short side. 180, we're off by 1 pixel on both sides. And then 270, I think it's back to one side. But it is the opposite one, or yeah, it's a long side. So at 90, we're off by 1 on a short side. At 270, we're off by 1 on a long side. And at 180, we're off by 1 on both. And at 0, we are not off, I don't believe. So the goal is figure out why and see if we can fix it. I am on main. I'm just going to go ahead and make a branch anyway. I don't know if we'll actually end up figuring it out and fixing it and having this ready to be PR'd or anything, but I'll make that in case we do. What is this? Red and super red. Interesting. So I do have a guess of where to start, which is that thing called. So Vectorio shape fill area. So fill area is a function oftentimes called on display.io objects as part of the refresh. It will essentially get the pixels that you want to paint and return them. perhaps just paint them in. I don't recall the exact way it works. Somewhere is a... Somewhere is a function which has bits that I think we will need to change. Tell you what, 1 second actually. Let me switch this around and get my Discord. I just put this in Discord. 1 second. To do this. Whoop. I want to add that on a chat. I want to get this back to... Oh my goodness, cat is going crazy. Okay, turn this off. Okay, yes. Vector shape 127, screen to shape coordinates are down here. Okay, so that does get called inside a fill area. So we were almost there, actually. Okay, cast input screen coordinates to shape coordinates to pick the pixels to draw. So I think this function is responsible for essentially converting from the coordinate space of the shape, which has a 0, 0 origin. Well, actually, it depends on which shape it is, but anyway, whatever the origin of the shape is, this is going to convert it to the screen, which I assume is where the rotation is accounted for, which then I also then believe is likely where we've got some trouble. So I would love to get these printing, because my guess is what we're going to see is these off by 1. Like they'll say -1 and 319 instead of 0 and 320 or whatever. They're already getting past to this thing, but I don't actually know what this thing... How do we make this print? So let's start there. Somehow this... Oh, okay. So void... Okay, so you can... Okay. Just do this probably, and then that will be printf. Okay, so that's cool. So you can... Interesting. I know you could do this in C. Okay, so you can define a function and kind of like just wrap another function with it. Interesting. Could you have brackets here, I wonder? You do a full like body? Is this just no brackets because it's a one-liner? It's interesting it doesn't have semicolon. I guess because it's define. Okay, there's also shape debug. And actually they don't print anything different. Got disconnected and reconnected. Interesting. Oops. Also, this is now on the wrong thing. What is that about? Okay, there we go. Not seeing the chatter yet. Yeah, sorry about that. I had the it was on the welcome room, and the way that OBS grabs it, essentially it won't grab it if it's on the wrong thing, basically. And then the YouTube one, it seems like is going a little crazy here, but should be back. Thanks for the heads up, by the way. So that's the one that we searched for. I guess that is probably the one we want to do. Does it actually say... This says A. Then B. Okay, so that's like before and after, I guess. Okay. Okay, that's helpful. All right, so we'll be looking for those. I assume there's more stuff, though. Are we going to get a lot of other... I don't see any other A and Bs. There's some other stuff which might be helpful, but it should look distinct, hopefully. Okay, so let's try to make a build with that like this so that we actually get some printouts and then see if any of those are obviously off one. And probably, I think while that's running, I would like to try one more thing, which is comment this part. We only need one of these. I'm going to call it spot. I'm going to let it be green. I am going to put it, for right now, I'm going to put it at, I am going to put it at 0, 20. And it is actually just going to be 1 by 1. So I basically want to make like 1 pixel. Okay, and currently that is not shown. I can close this one. And if we go back to 0, though, it will be shown, I believe. Let's verify that. Yeah, okay. That's right there on 0. Let's look at 90 first. Okay, so it's over there on 90, but is visible on 90. On 180, it is not going to be visible because it will be offside. Okay. Okay. Let's start with 0. Did this build? Yes. So let's get that loaded. Bootloader. Copy this. Build PyPortal firmware to the media. Portal boot. Okay, it got connected, but I think it was a little late. This already ran and drew its stuff, so let's try to rerun it and get some more printouts. Oh, there's no new lines. Okay. Okay, so we got 0, 0 both. We got A and B are both 0, 0, which makes sense. We're on rotation 0, and this thing only... So it's if transpose XY, do the stuff in here, else we check absolute transform dx and dy. And so if neither of these things are true, which I assume neither of those would be true in the 0 case, then we would have left everything the same, essentially. We would have got this and it would be unchanged. So if we do rotate by 90, do we see anything obviously interesting in this? Okay. Oh, that's why that took forever. Raspberry Pi SD card connected, which bunch of little files on it that the IDE would have tried to go and catalog. Okay, let's get the 90. Not 9, 90. Zero, zero. It does, so here it's 300, 0. Get pixel. So where does get pixel get printed from? Get shader, get pixel. That fill area. So that is what? The shape, then the input pixel, and then the pixel to get. Okay, let's try 0, 0 instead of 0, 20. Disconnected again. Something weird's going on with the YouTube chat for some reason. Yeah, if we have folks watching, if you happen to be on YouTube and you're trying to chat, it says it's connected again, but just in case, you might want to try Discord instead if you are in the YouTube chat and you're not seeing your own message pop up there. Right now, it's just got these disconnected things. I've never really seen that before. I don't know what is connecting and disconnecting, but okay. So 0, 0 will be top left corner, and then when it rotates, it should be top right corner. Oh, all right, but we're already rotated 90. So yeah, 0, 0 to 0, 0. But when it's 90, so I don't know what these shapes. I guess shapes. I don't know what the out shape is. Because A and B were always getting. How's it going, Tithe? A and B were always getting. It's getting 0, 0. And this time it didn't even actually not print anything. So at 90, shape pixel debug, is that not the one we turned on? I think that's the one we turned on. One with the A and B. We get no A and B thing, which means we had no transpose XY. Well, but that doesn't make sense. This is if else. So that means this just didn't get called? This always gets called, I thought. It's always, yeah, this always, well, there's a continue. But that would have printed masked, and we didn't see masked either. So how do we get no prints? That's weird. We're actually on 90? Are we actually on 90? We must be on 90 because it says width 240, height 320. Another chat disconnected thing. Laid out rotation. That's got to be on 90. Height. Maybe there's something else that knows it's outside the screen? Something else that knows it's outside the screen? Okay, there must be something that knows it's outside the screen, and therefore it's not calling those functions. But the crux of this is that 0, 0, rotate 90 should be 319, 0. Yeah. 0, 0, rotated 90 should be 319, 0. But it's coming out, presumably it's coming out 320, 0. We can't see it get printed. My guess is because it's out of the bounds of the display, there's something else that's making it not print. Let me catch up here. I had a couple displays that if I applied rotation, even rotation 0, it performed much slower. I think the Qualia and the Funhouse, is that display IO in general or each display type? So those, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I don't know about the Qualia, but the Funhouse, I'm pretty sure that I think that it is defaulted to 90. Like it's mounted, the way it's mounted essentially made it defaulted to 90. And therefore, I think that 90 is probably the fastest that it can render. So when you change it to 0, even though 0 feels like the default because it is for a lot of boards, I think on the Funhouse that actually 90 is the default. You'd have to check this though, and I'm not sure if it will print 90 or if it will print 0. Not sure how that works, but I think that is one of the ones where it is actually like rotated by default. So that's my guess as to why 0 is different, is because on that one you're actually taking it off of the default. I do think that in general, any time you are not on whatever is the default rotation for that device, that it might take extra time to render. Although now that I say that out loud, I'm actually not 100, like I think I would expect that to take extra time in the 90, but I really don't know for sure. Would be probably the actual answer, is that I just don't know for sure. I haven't done any kind of profiling on time, really, of anything for rendering. While you peruse code, the instructions on the website for PyCharm CircuitPython need updating. The PyCharm used in the instructions has been updated. They shifted some stuff around, new screenshots and better instructions on attaching to the CircuitPy project. Okay, yeah, I did. I wrote that page, so yeah, I do definitely have a newer PyCharm at this point. And yeah, I'm sure some bits have shifted around. They like to do that. Fortunately, in my opinion, a little bit. Sometimes they upgrade stuff, but other times it feels like stuff just kind of moves for no reason really. But yeah, thanks for the heads up though. I will put that on my list to give a bit of a refresher on. Yeah, so we must be getting 320. Cause and 0, 1 should be 318, because we want to be 1 pixel in, and 319 is the farthest pixel over that we can go on a 320 display, because it's 0 base, so 0 to 319 are the actual pixels. I think we want to add another print. It's going to get this all weird, too, because I would love some new lines, truthfully. I guess we don't have to have new lines. I want to put another print that prints which one of these things we actually went into. Is that 127 or something? Yeah, these things. So I want to say... So, like, this one, let's say it had transpose XY, and then... Let's put it on both. And then this one, you know, obviously else is a bit... I guess we could put not, but I'm just going to put else. Or else it wasn't transform XY. And then we'll know if these things did anything, but honestly, will we? Because these things are never actually doing anything, right? We're just always getting 0, 0. Not actually sure what that does. Maybe it's to do with the size. I mean, shape kind of describes a size more so. Maybe we should say this was like 1010. Would we get anything else? Or okay, if that's 1010, we get a bunch of different calls. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so this is getting called for every pixel. And yeah, interesting. Okay. We are getting some flops there. So 1010 is kind of big, truthfully. Let's cut it back down to 1-1. We will maybe eventually do 2-1 to make sure everything's kosher with our fix. But that is not the location, which is why it wasn't changing. This one is, and it's basically saying 3190 translates to, well, that says translates to 00, which is correct, but we ended up on 320. And really, we're translating from, it's kind of weird the way that this arrows, right? We're translating from 01 to the other one. Okay, let's build this and run it so we have the extra prints. We know if we're transpose. I would assume that transpose XY is 180. And maybe 270? I don't know for sure. Bootloader. Okay, so we are on which rotation currently? We are on 90. Serves. Are on 90. And on 90, we do actually have transpose XY. Interestingly, inside of get pixel, this actually seems kind of correct, though. Right, let's just check the other rotations real fast. So that was 90. I mean, surely 180 has transpose XY. Well, okay, we have the yeah, we have the problem where it got pushed outside the display. So we'll need to come in. Yeah, but that's... So we're actually on 1-1, but it says 00 here. Odd. And this is in the else, so 180 does not have transpose XY. So then 270 does. So the portrait ones, I guess. Yeah, okay. The portrait ones have transpose XY, and the landscape ones do not. Will it accept the negative number? I don't know. I think that it will, but I'm not sure. Yeah. No. Maybe. So to the specific question, will it accept a negative number? Yes, it will. It seems to break though, because I think what's happening is that it's only like here. Let me put this one where we can all see it at the same time. So I think it's only like I think it's treating the screen as like here. Like there's a phantom bit down here, which it's kind of pretending is part of the screen, even though it's not. And then there's obviously this section, which is like not updating anymore. So it accepts negative, but it doesn't seem to work correctly necessarily. Which is perhaps a different bug or perhaps part of the same bug. Not sure. Well, no, it's got to be a different bug because that's like outside Vectorio, right? That was the CircuitPython being weird. I'm surprised it doesn't just filter out negatives. I mean, it could conceivably use, call it %, modulus. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is not actually where we're changing it. So this is the shape, though. This is the shape. We don't care as much about the shape. Turns out. But the get pixel thing, whenever we print get pixel. So what are these? These are the input pixel X, the input pixel Y, and then the pixel to get X and the pixel to get Y. So input and then pixel to get. And what we're seeing is the input is where we actually end up drawing, and the pixel to get is where we started, like where we were in the unrotated pixel space. But something definitely is like off by 1, I think, because so this says 319.1 and it says 0, 0, but we are at pixel 1, 1 and we are 1 by 1. So effectively, we're filling in pixel 1, 1, but it seems like it's thinking that it's pixel 0, 0. Sounds like potentially the culprit of our off by 1. And if we go to zeros here, it actually is also still off by 1. Is it always 1? So if I go 2, 2, is this going to say 1, 1 or? But it always says to 0, 0. Okay, 0, 0 is in the shape's coordinate space. 0, 0 is in the shape's coordinate space. And this is basically the top left corner, which we only are coloring a single pixel. So the top left corner is the whole thing. What's with the black area on the left side relative to the way you have the PyPortal laid out? This part right here? Little sliver? Or this thing here. In any case, I think they're both, they're just kind of artifacts of the camera stuff, how it's set up pretty much. This is the outline of the camera that's shooting top down. Wait, yeah, left side, okay. Zero, 0. So is that actually off? 2, 0, 0. So that should be 317. Yeah. Because we're at 2, 2, not 1, 1, right? 1, we're at x1, we should end up at 318. If we're at x0, we should end up at 319. If we're at x2, we should end up at 317. And then the 2 is actually still correct here. But I think that's because of the way where different rotations are wrong in different orientations. Remember when we had the full border, when we did 90, we were only missing on this side. So essentially when we're on 90, our X is 1 too high. The value that comes out for X is 1 too high, which means that the input pixel 1 too high. But the input pixel comes from screen to shape coordinates, which is the function we were inside of with the ABs, I thought. Is the function we were inside of with the ABs. But this is only printing out shape. What does it return? Void. Doesn't return anything. So wait a minute though, if we, well, it doesn't return because it's using pointers. So, but we're passing in input pixel.x. We're passing it in. It must already be wrong. Because it doesn't change inside of there. Okay, let's pixel 4. Let's print this before we call screen to shape coordinates and see what it is then. My hypothesis is that it's not changing inside of there. I think the only ones, basically these are getting set maybe, but let's see. Just looked at PyPortal. No, the left black to the actual edge. Oh, I think it's just the border. There's like a border on the LCD or whatever. It doesn't. The actual panel that can light up does not go all the way to the very edge of the physical. Like I'm gonna call it glass. I don't think it's actually glass, but like the top layer of the screen goes further than the actual pixels do. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, that's making that a little bit trickier to understand. So get pixel before, it totally was already 318.2, and I think it should have already been 317.2 because it's not changing inside of there, so it's not that thing's job to change it. So whose job was it to set this? How did this get set? The code here. So pixel, input pixel, output pixel. Interesting. So we have input pixel, output pixel. We have shape area, is get area from shape. Put it into there. But all of a sudden right here, we're already saying input pixel.y, but how did input pixel get a value? Oh, wait, this is, no, yeah, how did input pixel get a value? Is this? Huh. Does that get past? How did that get a value? Oh, this one would probably be good to turn on. It has all the transforms and everything. That is bizarre to me, though. Oh, wait. It's setting the value here. Okay. Interesting. I've never seen... Interesting. I've never seen, I've never seen a property or whatever, I don't know what it's called in C, but I've never seen a field or a property or whatever of an object be used as the variable for a for loop. That's interesting. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, so input pixel y equals overlap y1, input pixel, so we're going until it's overlap y2, and then we're plussing mask start, column dirty, and then we loop x's also. Pixel index mask first to see if it's already been set. I'm not sure what that's talking about. Mask bit. I guess that's like if it's already that color, maybe? I don't know for sure. Pixel index mask bit. Masked. So what is overlap? Because we start on overlap y1, and we know that we're only a 1x1 thing. Well, technically the x is what's wrong with us, but we know we're a 1x1, so we're only iterating once, and that single iteration we're starting one too high. So we start on overlap x1. Where does overlap come from? Display area compute overlap. Okay, let's turn this on so that we can see that stuff print. That's gonna probably print a lot of stuff, but wait, where was the other one? Wasn't there another one here? Or it's already on? Wait, what? Oh, no, it's on void. Yes. No dice on that. Okay, well, what's problem here? Compiler. VARs? Like that. Self X. Each undeclared identifier is reported only once. Undeclared. 307. I think there's just an extra X here for some reason. I mean, it shouldn't be X. It should be Boolean. Really, it should be the hidden. I don't know what happens when you print. Not sure what happens when you do a Boolean as %d. That's compilable or not, but I mean, 0 for false, 1 for true seems like a decent guess, but all right, we are on 90, I guess. Okay, we get a lot more calls now, actually. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so to your question earlier about the slower rendering, I mean, now we have way more, well, I don't know, maybe it was, we didn't do it on 0, though. I guess maybe it was doing it here, too. I'm gonna say it's doing way more stuff on this rotation, but that's not actually true. It's just we weren't printing it. Yeah, never mind. I do think it's doing extra work for the rotation, though. Somehow, some way, I think there is a bit of extra work going on. I suspect it also probably depends, like, if you use Vectorio versus other things, it might make a difference as well. I'm not sure. Fill area. No overlap. So this is just straight up looping like almost every pixel on the display? Why though? No overlap. Okay, I think maybe that's probably doing like that is probably checking for like if there are any pixels that don't change due to the rotation. Like if we had the entire screen green as one big rectangle and we rotated, none of the pixels need to change because the new thing we're drawing overlaps with the old thing we're drawing. So maybe that is what that's about. 1 second, I will be right back. Okay. Yeah. That might be what that's about. I mean, it's basically checking down the left edge and down the right edge in this case. But starting yeah, I feel like the crux is probably this shouldn't probably be 320. It should probably be 319. And then I also kind of have a sense that probably this one is wrong too, right? This should probably be 3. Because we're checking kind of like 0, 3 all the way down to 0, 239, which is the last pixel in the first column. And then we're kind of checking the last column here, but we're starting 1 pixel lower and we're doing 320 instead of 319, which is actually outside. What was it? Overlap? Overlap? Overlap. So we get pixel before input pixel. So let me see get pixel before. But I also don't know where we're at in the stack here. Is that no, that's finish refresh. So fill comes after pixel before was 2.2. At rotation 0, then at rotation 90, get pixel before is we're still going left edge, right edge. Even though we're on a 90 now instead of a, like we're on portrait instead of landscape. I was expecting maybe that to make it change, but not actually. I guess that's always going to be screen coordinate space maybe. And so yeah, 318, that should actually be 317. and it was from input pixel X, which just started on overlap X. Overlap. Overlap. So this says that an area called overlap, we check if area compute overlap area, which is I think something that got passed to us. Yeah, area got passed to us, and then current area, and then overlap reference. So no overlap. And this then says x1, y1, x2, y2. And I believe they should both well, definitely this I think should be 317. This I think should probably be 318. The 2 and the 3 I think actually don't. I think those might actually be correct. So I think only the X maybe is off by 1, at least in this orientation. But okay, so that comes from here. Probably. Oh, I don't know where that comes from. Okay, let's try to figure out where that comes from. Let me see the chat here. Does this happen with display shapes too? No. It's a little bit of a trick question. With most of the display shapes, the answer is no. Like rectangle and circle, the answer is no. And with the original polygon, the answer is no. There is an arc shape in display shapes that utilizes vector IO. There's also now a filled polygon, which I just added recently, which utilizes vector IO. Those ones are affected because they utilize vector IO. But the rect, the circle, the round rect, the old original polygon, none of those are affected. But I think they use more RAM as well. So ultimately, if we could fix this, it can still be nicer to use vector IO for some use cases. So where does, right, yeah, we're going to grep this. Figure out where this comes from. IO area, C, shared module. So it gets past an area. So maybe though we should maybe print our current area. Is there a chance that our current area is already wrong and that the only reason we're getting wrong values out of this is we are already wrong before we go in? We should try to figure that out. But this is going to be setting the, is this going to be setting the current area? So constant display area A, constant display area B, and then overlap. So, I mean, those are constant, so we can't change their value. So area and current area, those are definitely not going to change inside of there, I would think. Could be... We have area here, fill area fill. Are we seeing the wrong... lap? I don't know. Guess what this is. Area 1x1. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not sure what that area represents. But overlap is what I mean. So we say overlap starts, overlap x1 starts as a x1. Then has some checks here. You change it to be x1. And returns false in some cases, and then goes and does the y also. So yeah, I mean, I think the crux... So this represents a 1 pixel space. No, this also represents a 1 pixel space. Okay, but it's just the wrong pixel. It's supposed to be 317, 318. Which ultimately comes from overlap, which ultimately gets determined by all the logic in here. And we get to see those things getting passed in because what these are. It says no, we get to see area only. We don't get to see current area. I would like to print current area. I don't know what it is though. Okay, so it has x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. Current area. Does it build? Is maybe, so I've been thinking the overlap is what's wrong, but maybe the overlap only ends up wrong because one of the two inputs to that function is already wrong. I'd go back and comment out that one. Okay. So current area we're looking should be before overlap. Current area, here we go. Area x1, y1, x2, y2. Yeah, I do not understand what that area is. This current area. But really understand what it represents. So it's like going backwards now as well. I mean 19. Would be 318 if we make these threes. So I think that's already off by one, essentially. I don't know about the 1, 2, 3, 4 here. That part's odd to me, but the 18 I do think probably should be 317 in this case. Because that should be one bigger than the pixel that we are drawing on, the index of the pixel. That basically represents the edge. So current area x1, y1. So current area just exists intrinsically. How did current area get set? Hit screen area inside of construct. Does it ever change? Display area union. That's probably not going to change it. Display area equal. That's probably not going to change it. 30. So inside the constructor, it sets it, but then why does it keep changing? Because this is different every time. I mean, the first one's not, but the second one, this is changing every time. Why would Y2, how does Y2 get changed if the only place where current area gets changed is inside of a knit? It can't be. This must be getting changed somewhere else also. Well, what does it look like when it first is created, at least, I guess? So this is fill area. Fill area is getting called multiple times, and each time it gets called, current area has been changed. So something inside of here must be actually changing current area. Maybe in there? We would have to print it before and after. But let's do it in the constructor first. In fact, we can keep this one. Let's just go up here. That's get screen area. Is this where we looked in before? No. This is different, actually. Okay, maybe in here is where... In fact, we have some +1s here. I wonder if those might be our culprits. I want to get back to construct. Construct. And then print it right here, which I don't need, of course, because that would be too easy. Current area, construct. What is it equal to then? Very bright, isn't it? Run. I don't think we connected quick enough to actually see. Okay, current area construct 3440. So 440. So that is essentially the same as 4034 or 3044. In any which case, though, it's bigger than 1 pixel, so I'm not sure why it's bigger than 1 pixel. Current area. I would have thought that meant the rectangle of the screen that the shape occupies, but really it's the, well, okay. Maybe it's counting the fact that, like, counting the fact that it starts at 0, 0. It's like counting its position also, maybe? So 3440, is that the same if we are on rotation 0? Or is it different? It's the same. Okay. If it's the same on this rotation, then I don't think we want to change it. Its value shouldn't change, I'm pretty sure. Because this rotation works. So we want to find the value that's essentially changed or wrong. Well, changed and wrong, I guess. But it comes out of get screen area. Oh. Set dirty calls get screen area again. Shape dirty new. Are we seeing that? Shaped, we are. That's how it gets updated. Okay. Well, at least that's how it gets updated twice, but somehow it still changes between all of these. And it doesn't have any prints for shape 30 new, so it must be changing in a different way. There's only 3 of these. One that declares it, one that's in the constructor, and one that's in the shape set dirty. So there must be something else that is changing current area also. I'm not even sure if this is the same. Is this even the same current area? Because this is not self.current area. This is just current area. Whereas this one is actually self.current area. So that is different. That is not changing the self dot. This is actually a new variable with the same name. It does update. No, this is not an update. This is a print. Get screen area, get area union, moved, area copy. 30 area tracks the footprint between draws. It's reset on refresh finish. Okay. Well, still I don't think that current area is wrong. And then I guess that plus ones. Well, these could, well, can they still be wrong? No, they cannot really still be wrong because we got the same numbers, right? Numbers, it really shouldn't. Out. This says out. Area, so we know that was in the constructor. Turns. I mean, we know this came right after out. Okay, this is out over here. Okay, so in came in as 0011 and it went out as 3344. Okay, so that converted from shape coordinate space to pixel coordinate space. And it did so correctly for these numbers here. But on 90, it's the same. Well, we have two. But on both of them, we go in as 0011, we come out as 3344. We go in as 0011, we... Oh. Different. 317, 318. Okay. That is wrong. It should be... Let me go back to 11, but I'm pretty sure that should be 316 and 317. But let's go back to 11. I would like to go back to 00, but it's drawn outside, so we can't see it. I guess we could use a different 0 corner, but... Yeah, so this went in 0011, and it came out 319, 322, but it should have come out 318, 319. Okay. So, yes, in here is wrong. And then let's do one more thing real quick here. So so transpose xy, transpose xy. It's gonna mess it all up, isn't it, though? All right, fine, we'll just do that, and then else. But I think I also want them in here. I'm just gonna say else dx, and then also else dy. Okay, never went back and copied one with the semicolon. Oops, don't know what I just did. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Okay, bootloader. Copy the build, right? Did I make a build? second guess. I mean, we must have, because we have a make after a copy, so we must have made the build. Okay, let's rerun it. We know it's not going to print the first time, or it printed, we just didn't catch it in the video. It doesn't connect quick enough usually, unless you have a sleep at there beginning. So where is our in out? So we have in out, and we're currently on 90 degrees, and we were else dx, else dy. So we were not transpose xy, but we were whatever the dx thing and whatever the dy thing. Absolute transform dx, absolute transform dy. Those were both true. And else was true. This was false. Okay. And that's on 90 degrees. Yes? Yeah. It is, I guess, a little bit odd, though, because I'm not sure why we have... Oh, okay. So here... Okay, so for some reason this essentially gets called twice. I guess it gets... Does it get called for the first rotation and then called for the next rotation? I'm not sure, but we rotated before we ever created this, so presumably it doesn't know about the first rotation. Anyway, maybe it always has to get the first rotation. I guess it probably always has to get the first rotation so that it can then figure out the others, I guess. But even when we're on 0, did it call that twice? I don't know. Anyway, let's focus on 90. So we were else here, and that's the one we don't care about. This one basically came out correct. Yeah, it came out correct because in the shapes coordinate space, we are, you know, essentially we're just filling pixel 0, 0 in the shapes coordinate space. And then in the screen's coordinate space, we're actually at 1, 1. So we're filling pixel 1, 1. And again, I would like to do 0, 0, but it gets off the screen and then it doesn't draw and then it doesn't print and then we don't get to see anything useful. Okay. And then here, the second time that we're in get screen area, that is where we actually have stuff going wrong. And this is the most recent one. I thought we were on else. Was that on 0? Back to 0. This is, well, this is else here, but it had no dx and dy. This is transpose. We have transpose down here. Where did we just see the else dx dy? Change the rotation? We're on rotation 90. Didn't we just see like else and then else dx and else dy? Good luck. Thanks for the stream. Yep. Take it easy. Some nice. Thanks for hanging out for a bit. Hope you have a nice rest of your evening. I swear. Okay, that's right. It is. Okay, so inside of construct. Okay, so we actually have get screen area prints an in out. Current area construct ends up printing an in out because it calls get shape or whatever. This is the one that is else dx, else dy, and I don't think we care about this one. This is a different thing. I don't I'm not sure. I don't think we care about this one. But this one here, we do, and this is where it's coming out wrong. But the problem is going to be if we, well, okay, but then maybe only the transpose one is wrong? Maybe only the transpose one is wrong. That doesn't make sense all the way, I don't think. So we know we came in here, and we know that the X is one too big, essentially. So feels kind of random, but I'm just going to take this off and see what happens. Guess is that the fix will not be that simple, but no. Out area. I don't know what out area really is here. Out area just gets passed to us, but we are manipulating it based on the transform. I guess that makes sense. This one has a minus. Interesting. They both have a minus, but this... So, but wait, what? Oh, because that's times. Right. Area operations. Yeah. Okay. Area transpose. What that does. That's still wrong. Did I go too far back? Not the value we're changing? Out area, x1, x2. Because, do we need it to be on the y? That's on the x? Okay, I gotta run to the restroom, I'll be right back. It doesn't seem like that actually took any effect though, which is really weird. BRB. All right. But this is still, so this is also inside of this thing. I guess this was not true then. Why? Okay, transpose xy, and then we got a dx, but we don't have a dy. Okay. And I did change the ones in the dy, so I'm going to put those back to +1. And then I guess we will change these ones if we get actual different behavior, hopefully. I should have commented this one out a long time ago. Scrolling past it every time. Here we are. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So we have 318, 319. No, hold on though. The y should not be 2, should it? I don't think the y should be 2. So we need to only do one of those, I guess. Oh, maybe it should be. There's actually 2 here as well. Okay, maybe it should be. Yeah, it needs to be one bigger. Yeah. It needs to be one bigger. Okay. Yeah, so 318, 319, that's because it's the next to last pixel, because we have it currently on 1, 1. So can we now set it to 0, 0 and have it actually draw? Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I think that should be correct, actually. But it is still not drawn. So it's closer because it actually does something, but did this? Okay, so here we end up with 323, 320 to 321. So are we off by 2? But we're not really. Are we by 2? Should this be a -1 instead of a +1? So it is. I thought earlier it was like not printing a bunch of stuff when we were outside, and I'm sure it is not printing a bunch of stuff when we're outside, but it is printing a bunch of the stuff that we are printing now, which I guess we weren't printing at the time. Cedar Grove says, thanks, Ty. Thanks for the stellar work on AIO throttling for CircuitPython. Finally had time to try it out. Very pleased with the improved reliability running 3 autonomous devices. Nice. Work on timeouts and retries and throttling and stuff for Adafruit IO so that it will respect the call it API limit, rate limit, basically. Okay, bootloader, copy this and off by 2. Weird. +1 to -1, I guess could be it though. Scared it's probably going to be broken for some other stuff. And also it's still not working, right? We still don't have there. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be there. I mean, that gets us down to actually on the display. But I do think that's... I think that's wrong still. I think that's down. I think that's too low by 1 now. But in any case, it's not drawing. Not fairly sure. Even a little bit. I mean, I believe the numbers from this one should be correct in my understanding of what they represent. Which, granted, quite limited and could just be wrong, but it is only understanding that I have at the time, so gotta go. So this is back to just without the +1, so no -1, just without the +1, and this is where I believe that the out that's here should be correct. I think this is the correct value for what we have on 0, 0 here. But does not actually get drawn. And we also saw if we subtract 1, it still doesn't get drawn. So we're either still outside somehow, or the fact that we're changing it here is not resulting in it actually changing position. But I mean, we do these things, which I guess these things could certainly change it, but those are both before out. And we can see from out that our -1, well, our lack of a +1 is taking effect, and we have smaller numbers here now. And they seem correct to me, but still don't draw. So we might be messing it up somehow by doing this. The change... Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think here is somehow the change of removing that has now broken some other part of the code. And we're now no longer getting this to actually draw. Let me put this back how it was. So this should be stock, I think. Got extra prints in it, but it should be the same logic that we started with, I'm pretty sure. Let's just verify that this actually draws. Verify I have not somehow broken it to where then this one does not draw. Okay, yeah, that one totally draws. And it's not just... The other interesting things about this one is we have 318s here. 318, and 4 and count upwards. Put this one on 317. Count 20 over there. 320. This should maybe be 319, I guess. Or so basically, when I changed that, we got a different number here, and the actual drawing did not work. When I changed it back, we're back to 318 here, and the drawing does work. So in actually starts from the out area. Okay. But in is always fine. I think we're on 3.3 currently. Or that one was, I guess. So here we are still on. Yeah, I don't know. It needs to be 317 because the pixel that's at the index of 317 no. Actually that's still Hey, the 3.3 is throwing me off. Let's get back to 1.1. I mean, that 319, I think, or that 320 rather, should be a 319, and I think that that represents outside of the shape. So that's basically saying, but this is 320 over here also, so maybe not. I don't know what that represents. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking this as start index end index where start is inclusive and end is exclusive. So for 1, 1, the inclusive pixel we should end up on is 318, which leaves pixel 319 to our right unoccupied, and that's the last pixel in the row. Yeah, because we're at 1, 1. We should be on the second one in. If we were on 0, 0, then we should be on 319, and our exclusive edge should be 320. So that seems to make the numbers correct when they print out here, but then by the time we are into these things, we're still ending up, we still have another problem because we're ending up not drawing anything. This was all inside of get screen area, which again gets called from construct, which is when we printed it, and then shape set dirty. So construct is here, and that one was before the rotation, basically. And then we did, in fact, get a shape dirty new, where it would have then called get screen area again right before this. But we don't have 2 in outs. How does that work? Or do we? We do. Struct. So this one is the first time we call it. This is when we call it in the constructor. Then we print the result of calling it in the constructor. Then shape dirty. No. It's screen area. The first thing it does is print. Okay, so this is the call from the constructor. And then this is printing in the constructor. I guess just this, actually. Only this is, I think, printing in the constructor. Up to maybe there, or up to maybe there. But then we actually have get screen area again. So this is when it's getting called inside of shape 30 new. And then this is when we actually print. And then shape get dirty new. Actually, this gets called again. We end up with another one of these. That is the get screen area. I mean, that's the get screen area. Where we actually modified it, because that's the only one with the transposes in it. And then there's the output shape dirty new. Does come out 319, 320. 2. 301122 stale. 011 extend 00. I don't really know what all of that part means. Okay. But basically, having changed that, +1 makes it not get drawn. All right, I don't think I'm gonna probably get any farther tonight, fortunately. I've learned a lot about the internals of this, though. I feel like we're closer. I'm guessing that there must be probably off by 1 somewhere else, potentially 2. And that when we changed it to remove the +1, it made the numbers right, but it also caused some other part of the code to essentially be off by 1 different way. That's my guess. Okay, well, I have wrapped my head around a lot more of this. Sorry, I know this was a lot of back and forth of printing and looking at what it printed and trying to figure out what all these things are. But that's what you get here in the deep dive, I think. And I do think I am much closer to understanding this, even though we did not actually get a real fix for it today. Okay, I will wrap it up here. Again, Acid Burn 15 on Adafruit if you want 15% off throughout the rest of the weekend. That's the coupon code to use. If you want some more CircuitPython related development streaming content, I usually stream over on my own channels on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. So I will be back tomorrow morning streaming some more. And I usually just drop links in the live broadcast chat when I get going. And then I don't know for sure, but I think maybe that Scott will be back next week. So we'll have to wait and see to be sure. But I think he might be back next week and do a couple of weeks or a month or some amount of deep dives, and then he'll be gone again after that, and I'll probably come back then. But the next little while, I do think Scott will be back, although he's on vacation at some point, so then he'll be taking time off again for the holidays and stuff, I think, as well. I don't know if I'll be around then either, though. But anyway, I'll be here tomorrow. I think Scott's next week, but we'll have to wait and see with him to be sure throughout the upcoming week and see. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to everybody who chatted along in the chats here. It's always nice to have folks asking questions and offering up ideas and just talking about things in general. I hope you all have a good rest of your evening and a good weekend. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, everyone who celebrates. And yeah, that's going to be it for now. I will see you later. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow if you want some more CircuitPython development stuff.